a freshly prepared food is very tasteful, but if kept for 3 or 4 hours, becomes stale and tasteless. So the existence of material enjoyment can endure as long as life is fresh. But at the fag end of life, everything becomes tasteless and everything appears to be vain and painful. The life of Emperor Swayambhuva Manu, however, was not tasteless. As he grew older, his life remained as fresh as in the beginning because of his continued Krishna consciousness. The life of a man in Krishna consciousness is always fresh. It is said that the sun rises in the morning and sets in the evening, and its business is to reduce the duration of one's life. But the sunrise and sunset cannot diminish the life of one who engages in Krishna consciousness. Swayambhuva Manu's life did not become stale after some time, for he engaged himself always in chanting about and meditating upon Lord Vishnu. He was the greatest yogi because he never wasted his time. It is especially mentioned here, Vishnuho kurvato bruvataha kataha. When he talked only of Krishna and Vishnu, the personality of Godhead. When he heard something, it was about Krishna. When he meditated, it was upon Krishna and his activities. It is stated that his life was very long, 71 yugas. One yuga is completed in 4,32 lakh years. 71 of such yugas is a duration of the life of a Manu. And 14 such Manus come and go in one day of Brahma. For the entire duration of his life, 4,032,000 4,320,000 into 71 years. Manu engaged in Krishna consciousness by chanting, hearing, talking about and meditating upon Krishna. Therefore his life was not wasted, nor did it become stale. So thus how Swayambhuva Manu, the saintly king, how his life was spent. In the younger days, he was absorbed in material happiness of a king without falling down to animalistic enjoyment. He enjoyed the material happiness in a Krishna conscious atmosphere. That was the previous verse. So having led his life in this manner, life gradually came to an end, long life. And it is said that he did not waste his life because he spent every moment of his life in hearing, contemplating, writing down and chanting the pastimes of the Lord. So in the purport, Prabhupada is giving a very good example of how a freshly prepared food is tasteful. But if it is kept for a long time, gradually it loses its taste. So in the same way, this material happiness, the sense gratification, it's a very big science. How regulated sense enjoyment eventually over the life will get oneself detached from sense gratification. The reason being, when one is engaged in regulated sense enjoyment, according to the Krishna conscious principles, secondary principles, dharma. According to dharma, if one is engaged in kama, then the very interesting phenomena is explained by Prabhupada in this purport. He says that everyone grows old and all his senses also will become weak. And therefore, his ability to enjoy also will come down. So just see how combination works. His ability to enjoy. When he is capable of enjoying, his enjoyment is regulated according to the principles of scriptures. And one of the fundamental principles of dharma is, any person who is leading a life of dharma, he does not indulge in greed. Not that he is so greedy and then he curbs his senses in a regulated way. No. He does not understand, he does not accept a progressive citizen of a Vedic culture does not accept the principle that he can increase his sense gratification by extra effort in his life. He very perfectly understands. Of course, nowadays nobody understands, even in this country. He perfectly understands that sense gratification, material happiness and sense gratification in material life is destined. The time you are born, in this life, what are the material happinesses and distresses that you will get is destined, it cannot be changed. The total quantity. You can shift it today, you can shift it tomorrow, just like if you have a bank account, if you have money in your bank account, you can draw it today, you can draw it tomorrow. Sometimes, you have to, sometimes you don't have a choice. Certain things. Sometimes you have choice of certain things. So karma is very complicated. Sukha and dukkha. Sometimes certain dukkha's are fixed. Certain other dukkha's you can even, shift it here and there. But the sukha and dukkha is fixed in the lifespan of a person who is born. This understanding is there in every person who is a member of a proper varnashrama, a Daivi Varnashrama system. This is a social system on this earth according to Krishna's principles of living. So this understanding is so fundamental because of this understanding, every person understands that, I should not simply work very hard for sense gratification. No doubt the senses are there. According to my past karma, there are urges of my senses. Now, there are dharmic principles rubber stamped by Krishna, dharma viddho kamosmi. Krishna has put his rubber stamp on certain sense enjoyment. And by regulated sense enjoyment as per Krishna's sanction, I should indulge in sense enjoyment, material happiness. Now what happens? So he enjoys sense enjoyment, he enjoys his material happiness without greed, without hope that I will increase. Just look at the contrast of everybody in this present civilization. Everybody in the present civilization is thinking that I work hard, I will earn more sense gratification. Completely a fallen civilization. It is not a human platform. Human being means he has this destiny of material happiness. Why should I work hard for material happiness? I should work hard for my spiritual happiness. I should work hard for my transcendental, or I should work hard for my purpose of life, which is to become free from birth and death, to go into eternal life. That is the purpose of life. So Swayambhuva Manu's example life is such that you can see that as a king, he had all the facilities to enjoy anything that he wanted, unrestrictedly. But that will lead to an animalistic fall down to the animalistic platform. When a king with all his opulence, whatever he wants he can enjoy, whomever he wants he can enjoy, is a king. But He stuck to the principles of dharma. He got himself purified. Even while he was engaging in normal life of material happiness, a major component of his life was worshipping Lord Vishnu. Was always to engage in devotional service. And whatever kingly duty he is performing also is performed in the spirit of devotional service. See, you can act either for your sense gratification or you can act for somebody else, isn't it? That is yajna. Either you act for sense gratification, which is what everybody is doing in this present age. He thinks human being means must be working hard to become successful, to become to enjoy everything in life and become successful. Empty goal of life. Whereas if you see in this a proper human life means he does not work to increase sense enjoyment. Then what must he be working for? What is his motivation to work? That is very important. He has to work as an offering unto Vishnu. Every work is a sacrifice. So even though the person is having the whole day is doing some sense gratification, sense enjoyment, material happiness is all coming and going as per his destiny. Large part of his work, large part of his day is engaged in yajna. What is the yajna of a king? He has got certain duties as a kshatriya. By performing his duties as a kshatriya towards his citizens, he is performing yajna. So larger part of his day he is connected directly to the Lord. And by the way, because of this material body and senses, some sense enjoyment is sanctioned by the Lord in a regulated way and he enjoys that. So there is no sin. And this is very important to understand in Krishna consciousness. There is no sin in enjoyment. As I explained yesterday, there is good enjoyment and bad enjoyment. So everybody in this material world now is engaged in bad enjoyment. Bad enjoyment means independent sense gratification. Everybody is engaged in bad enjoyment and bad work. Good work means working for Vishnu. Good enjoyment means taking even material enjoyment as per the sanction of the Lord, as per Shansar and Guru Sadhun Shastra, taking that enjoyment in a regulated manner as a mercy of the Lord. And then gradually, anartha nivritti, these are material sense gratification means anartha. The living entity does not want, does not need. Anything called not needed is called anartha. The soul does not need material sense gratification. But it has created that it needs. It's created an impression in his mind by concoction that it needs. So, material sense gratification is not needed. That kind of a state of mind will come if one performs devotion service along with regulated sense enjoyment. Anartha nivritti will happen. Because of the higher taste in association with the Lord, slowly this sense gratification taste vanishes. Naturally the soul, as we discussed yesterday, the goal of soul is Ananda. The Surupa of soul is Ananda. So if there is no material sense gratification, where does it turn towards? Transcendental sense gratification. Sukham atindriyam. Transcendental to this material senses. That happiness, that pleasure in association with the Lord in pure devotional service, that is actually the real pleasure of the soul. So pleasure is not sin. Our attitude towards pleasure can be sinful. So our attitude towards pleasure, that I should enjoy the pleasures. The whole world should serve me. That is the attitude of lust. And the attitude of giving enjoyment. Just like you see, let us say there is, there are 10 mangoes. As per some, there are 2 people, 10 mangoes and 2 people. If 2 people say, your share is 5, my share is 5. So you take 5, you take 5. So ultimately he will enjoy 5 mangoes, this man will enjoy 5 mangoes. Now there is another way of distributing this 5. The first person will have all the 10 mangoes. And then he will give 5 mangoes to the second person. Or let us take that. So 5. Now the 5 mangoes that each A has got and 5 mangoes B has got. The 5 mangoes that A has got, he will give those 5 mangoes to B. B has got 5 mangoes, he will give, no, you enjoy. He gives to A. Now A enjoys and B enjoys. So ultimately, A has enjoyed 5 mangoes, B has enjoyed 5 mangoes. But is there a difference? There is a difference. A did not seek to enjoy, B did not seek to enjoy. But A gave to B to enjoy and B gave to A to enjoy. This is called love. Lust is, I earn my enjoyment. It's mine. Love means you give enjoyment. So there is a tendency to think that if I give enjoyment, I go on giving enjoyment, I will be starved. What is this philosophy? So I should have enjoyment. So you go on giving enjoyment, then I am also, my Swarupa is also Ananda. But in the spiritual world, everybody is giving enjoyment. Nobody is seeking enjoyment. See, the attitude of pleasure is different in the spiritual world. The attitude of pleasure here is different. In the spiritual world, the attitude of pleasure to serve the Vaishnavas and Krishna. To serve the servants of the Lord. That is the spirit. Not only one person's spirit, everybody's spirit is that. So everybody in this material world, in the spiritual world, enjoys prasadam pleasure. Enjoys pleasure which is given to him. And that which is given to him, if that pleasure disturbs his service, it's not that, oh, he is waiting, okay, I should not seek it, but it will come. If you say it will come, then again you are seeking. Then that is also lust. There is not a bit of seeking for pleasure in the spiritual world. They constantly, it's a pure atmosphere of giving pleasure. So in an atmosphere of giving pleasure, you have pleasure. You have the pleasure of giving pleasure, plus you have the pleasure. So, therefore, the solution to come out of sense gratification is to understand the right attitude of pleasure. Not to shun away, not to hate pleasure. Is to have the right attitude of giving pleasure to Krishna, giving pleasure to Vaishnavas. Krishna is a common center in the spiritual world. In the material world, every individual is a center. Each person is trying how I can, entire universe, how I can engage in my exploitation, engage in my sense gratification, in my desires. So it is an exploitative attitude of pleasure. Now, this attitude cannot go away so easily. The original nature of the soul is it is a person. When it is a person, that soul has got all the qualities that we have, all the tendencies. It has got sense of seeing, it has got sense of smell, sense of touch, sense of emotions, sense of intelligence, everything the living entity has got. The soul has got the propensities of these things. But now these propensities have been filled up by three modes of material nature. They have been conditioned by three modes of material nature. The three modes of material nature conditions the status of life. These are all symptoms of life. The living entity, a person means symptoms of life. Thinking, feeling, willing. These are all the psychological status of the life. Three modes of material nature conditions the psychological status of the living entity. Originally, the living entity has got a psychological status. That means it has got thinking, feeling and willing. So running through this material energy, through 84 lakh species of life, coming to human form of life, and finally lifting in the human form of life from lower modes to higher modes, to Sattva-guna, to Krishna consciousness, one builds a culture. Krishna consciousness is a culture. It builds a culture of character, a culture of action, culture of thinking, feeling and willing is built up. And then one is fit to live in a spiritual community. See, if there is no culture, you cannot live in a community. And we are ultimately community beings. We are not going to go and merge into Brahman. We are community beings. Pure community beings. The spiritual world is full of jivas with name, form, activities, everything. So if we have to attain perfection of life is not some, becoming a light. That you have been light and now you want to become more. That is why you come into this material world. You have been light. You are a particle of Brahman. But a great opportunity is given through this mechanism of the material universe for us to build up our personality. Our identity is eternal. Our individuality is eternal. But when you come into this material world, you get an identity and a personality. An expression of that individuality of each one of us is personality. Today I have a particular type of a body, it is a particular type of a personality. Behind this personality is the individuality, which is the eternal Brahman. But that eternal Brahman has got the original propensities of a personality. Thinking, feeling and willing. That we have to understand. As against the Mayavadi understanding that the pure soul does not have senses and does not have sensations, does not have thinking, feeling, willing. A very fundamental difference in understanding of Brahman. Jiva is a Nirguna Brahman. God is a Nirguna Brahman. Whereas Vaishnava understanding is that the fundamental things we have to understand. What is our Surupa? We are persons. Not that I am a Nirguna, then by association in three modes of material nature I became a person. These personalities and identities are manifest. No doubt, these personalities and identities are manifest in this material world through false ego. But one can culture a pure personality as a pure servant of Krishna. As he evolves through this, meets a Vaishnava, Kuno Bhagyavan, which millions and billions of living entities are in this material world. Some of them come in contact with the pure devotee of the Lord. And we are blessed to be in contact, come in touch with the pure devotee of the Lord. And when you come in touch with the pure devotee of the Lord, of course, Lord as Paramatma is seated in our heart, and there is a role of the Paramatma in bringing us this good luck, And then by the association of such persons, we culture devotion, culture bhakti, culture how to live in Vaikuntha, how to live in Krishna Loka. That culturing is the bhakti. That is practical devotion service that is being taught here, with Krishna as a center, deity as a center, devotion service as a center, yajna as the center, not work for oneself, not karma, nobody engaged in fruitive activities. One should engage only in devotion service and minimize sense gratification to the extent to which this body and the bodily urges are there in a regulated manner. And then so that over the time, if for the sake of just to deal with the urges you are engaging in sense gratification according to the Shastra, then when greed is not there, there is no fresh desires for sense gratification. There is no fresh desires for sense gratification. And the senses already, as you become old, it becomes weak. Such a conducive atmosphere for a person to become more and more Krishna conscious with age. In the material world, if you have your goal to increase your sense gratification, as you age, you become more and more frustrated because your ability for sense gratification is decreasing and Kala is killing your senses and life is frustrating by the end of your life. That's what Prabhupada is explaining. Take a Krishna conscious person, as he is aging, his ambition to become Krishna conscious gets more and more fulfilled. Why? Because senses are becoming dull. Yeah, senses should become completely dull. Senses should not disturb me at all. That is the best thing for me to hear and chant Krishna. Senses should not disturb me at all. So, as time goes on, as ages for a Vaishnava, with respect to his ambition, his goal of life, he is becoming more and more successful as he grows old, as his body grows old. Whereas a karmi, as he grows old, his mission is being defeated. Up to a certain life, he has got young youth, he has got increasing sense, got to make more wealth, make this, and afterwards, boom, depressed. You hardly see any old people in this material world who are very happy. Not only very happy, not happy at all. Very sad, they are all very sad. Two things, how hard they worked and now no work. That is one. They don't know how to perform yajna, they don't know how to chant, they don't know how to read Bhagavatam, they don't know this transcendental work. So they are workless. Workless creates a kind of a vacuum in them. Second is, their senses are all weak. Whom do I work for? And by the time he's got old, he's already realized that all the people who I worked for don't care for me now. So much love and affection I had, my child, and my child is his own business and he has his own child now. He has no time for me. Old parents, children don't even spend time talking 10 minutes to them. Whole week, they're all working very hard. They don't spend not that they hate them, but there's no time. I like you, I have no time. And the only solace for the old people is television. Because the senses are all weak. Now identified pleasure. First of all, in this body itself, it is an identified pleasure. Now they go into another cocoon, secondary identified pleasure. And they keep their mind occupied in seeing the rasa of other people in the movie. See, you have to keep your machinery rasa. So anyway, I cannot enjoy my rasa. So he gets into a movie and he enjoys the rasa of hero, heroine, this thing. This is what here. It's a very sad life. When such high potential is there for a living entity, as he ages, to become more and more brilliant, to become more and more enlightened, to become more and more enriched, to become more and more varieties of rasa, in relationship with Krishna, in relationship with Krishna Katha. They are ending up in a vacuum in life. So, Prabhupada is talking about this. The life of a man in Krishna consciousness is always fresh. It is said that the sun rises in the morning and sets in the evening, and its business is to reduce the duration of everyone's life. Kala hits everybody except devotees. Kala cannot hit, okay, now I am Krishna conscious. 10 years from now, you have to become less Krishna conscious. 20 years from now, you have to become less Krishna conscious. No. Kala has no jurisdiction over Krishna consciousness. If you are in sense gratificatory mode, yes, I have jurisdiction. If your consciousness is to increase Krishna consciousness, I stay away. Come on, increase, go. When you're 40 years old, when you're 25 years old, 35 years old, increased Krishna consciousness. Become 45 years old, increased Krishna consciousness. Become 55 years old, become increased Krishna consciousness. Become 90 years old, very highly Krishna conscious will become. Look at that. So there is a sense of progress, there is a sense of achievement for a Vaishnava. Real sense of achievement in life. Whereas a karmi cannot get this real sense of achievement, it's short-lived. As long as he's young, he's working, he's earning his success and everything, everybody is praising, he feels a short sense of success. Afterwards, neither children look at them, nor the world looks at them. But the sunrise and sunset cannot diminish the life of one who engages in Krishna consciousness. Swayambhava Manu's life did not become stale after some time, for he engaged himself always in chanting about and meditating upon Lord Vishnu. Any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Just to understand, how is this process different from a person who is a Sakama Bhakta or a person who is is a Pravritti Marga? Because they are also trying to enjoy as per the prescribed methods in the Shastras. But there may be different Shastras. So just want to understand the difference.
See, only by being a Sakama Bhakta, you become a Akama Bhakta. Nobody can jump straight to Akama Bhakta. Because we are in this material world, steeped in sense gratification. Our history is sense gratification. All living entities in this material world, unless you have come down from the spiritual world, the history is sense gratification. So we all have a history of sense gratification. Now, either the history of sense gratification, you can either cultivate it and you can continue your business of fruitive activities and increasing sense gratification as the karmis do. As vikarmis do now, or as karmi. The present people, they do not know how to enjoy sense gratification also. Then there are karmis. Karmis means good citizens. Present outside people cannot be called karmis also. Karmis means enjoying sense gratification as per the sanction of the Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. That is karmis. Now among the karmis there are different levels. There are karmis who accept Vishnu as God. He will better. Then he becomes a Sakama Bhakta. In Sakama Bhakta, if he has association of a Vaishnava, then he becomes a Vaishnava Sakama Bhakta. Where the Vaishnava's goal is what? To give up this sense gratification. To end this sense gratification one day. So that becomes the goal. Now in the association of Vaishnavas, for instance, now we come in touch with Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada is not telling everybody, day one, please become completely free from sense gratification. He does not say that. His focus of instruction is to chant Hare Krishna. Your goal is to go back to Godhead. Your goal is not to remain in this material world. Your goal is to understand transcendental knowledge that you are not this body. So by association with the pure devotees' knowledge, slowly we become purified, and there is a different kind, even though you are dealing with karma, you have got a different goal with respect to that karma, is to finish this karma. So this attitude towards karma as an anartha and performing devotion service with the hope of anartha nivritti, this is Pakka Vaishnavism. So we have to deal with this. So that is why Bhagavatam is giving these examples of Krishna consciousness going along with certain material sense enjoyment. Now, it is not that the Lord is saying that, see, all of you have to come back to me. All of your destination, I am pushing you to, so that you become pure and you come and serve me. No. There will always exist karmis, there will always exist vikarmis, there will always exist sakama bhaktas, like the demigods who are attached to these things. There will always be sakama bhaktas who are wanting to get free from this karma, like us, who is free from desire for sense gratification, who has become desireless of the bodily and the mental needs, who has become desireless, who has got liberated from it. No, we have not got liberated. We are adopting a lifestyle given by Srila Prabhupada where these things are catered to. If somebody is put in a cold outside without proper sweater, without proper cap, whether you will chant 16 rounds today, we will see. You have to keep your body, everything, all the requirements you have to give, nicely pack yourself and chant 16 rounds. But one day can come when even in, you can sit in winter and you can chant 16 rounds, like the Goswamis. That is pure bhakti. We are nowhere near pure bhakti. That we have to understand. So many conditions are there for us. We have not transcended our body. We have not transcended our bodily urges. We have not transcended it. In a very, just like under the protective system of Srila Prabhupada, we are like Swami Manu. So should not think, material sense, he was enjoying material happiness, Swami Manu. Oh, this is not pure bhakti. We are in pure bhakti. Our system is given by Srila Prabhupada. Very nicely he has taken care of us, all our anarthas, in a regulated manner. And then he is telling, chant Hare Krishna, hear nicely, worship the deities, and then same thing that happened to Swami Manu will happen to us. Senses will all become weaker. Anartha nivritti will happen. I don't want any of these things will happen. And more and more focus will come. More and more taste will come to hear and chant and glorify the Lord's activities as we grow old. That is exactly the reason why Prabhupada says you don't try to imitate and go and sit in Radha Kund and chant 100 rounds. No? Why? Because of anarthas. Our stage is anartha nivritti stage. Where regulated sense enjoyment, if you don't feed, your process of bhakti you cannot do. You cannot chant Hare Krishna. Your mind will get distracted. So one level of mind has to be kept to one level of peacefulness to do all this seva. Okay?
Prabhu, when we take up to Krishna consciousness, our karma will change. Good karma will come. We can get what is beyond our destination. So sometimes we see devotees take up to Krishna consciousness. And when I was in folk also, I saw some boys that they know the philosophy and all, because of their doing the practice like chanting 16 notes and following regular principles. They were getting some happiness, and they some good fortune I joined, but because they're enjoying both materially and spiritually, so they continued like that, and they didn't get the opportunity to serve. So they did not get the opportunity.
Okay.
And also we see sometimes devotees, they join ashram and their karma get changed. They may get some good opportunities to enjoy materially. Then they leave and go. So this is a kind of trap or a danger kind of thing.
Yeah,
so how
the living entity has got the free will. Anytime when he gets, Prabhupada explains in one purport that so much bad karma, afterwards you chant Hare Krishna, you will feel some relief, and then you will feel, now I leave devotional service. I can make it in the material world. He doesn't realize that, material world is the same. It will again put him in the same situation. So, by association, by hearing Krishna consciousness from the authorized sources, one should come to the platform of transcendental knowledge, jnana avastita chetasaha. One has to have a transcendental understanding of these things. Only then he will remain. Otherwise, it's not that, Krishna is waiting now. Tomorrow you should come back to Godhead. No problem. Krishna says, I am in your heart as Paramatma. Some more journey you want to do? No. I will not leave you. Patient. और घूमना है, घूम के आओ. Right time, again I will hook you on. Back again to some Vaishnavas.
Younger devotees also, they do not realize the higher goal. Like they do some 16 rounds and materially they do some enjoyment. And they don't think about serving the mission or taking a higher step.
Why? Anybody who is in Krishna consciousness, anybody in Prabhupada's movement, he goes by what Prabhupada's vision is. Prabhupada is always asking us to progress. He is always asking us to struggle. He is asking us to advance. He is asking us to get detached. He is asking us to be always Krishna conscious. He is asking us to do only Krishna's work. When all these instructions are pervaded in the institution, how one can sit peacefully?
Joining an ashram or institution and practice is more favorable than staying outside and practicing. They don't realize that many. They think, okay, let us do both.
How? They are inside, how they can do both?
More favorable, practice for, somebody join ashram and practices, it's more favorable than staying outside and practicing.
No, more favorable for enjoyment.
No, for practicing.
No, it's a fact. For some kind of people who have bad karma, joining ISKCON is more favorable materially. There are two kinds of people come to Krishna consciousness. One whose karma is bad. There is a kind of facility, everything in ISKCON, no? Food is there, this there, prasadam is there, everything is there. For them it's a material promotion coming to ISKCON. I'm not saying that they think like that, but they can think like that. His consciousness maybe I have come for bhakti, but the reality is that his lifestyle and his everything has risen up. The other one is, people who had good karma, who could have so many things in the material world. They give that up and they come down to a regulated life. Curtailing freedom, this, that, everything. In a community living, they come, there's a curtail. So that both have eligibility to come to Krishna consciousness, become pure devotee. Provided whether this type of person or that type of person, his attitude should be, it's all immaterial. Good and bad karma is immaterial. I have to progress in Krishna consciousness. That is the purpose of life. I have to live in the association of devotees. Like that.
I am talking about good karma only, Prabhu. Some people, they don't realize higher goal, like enjoying the transcendental bliss. So little bit material, little bit spiritual. So mix like that. That kind of thing I'm talking.
All kinds of people are there. Everybody will learn. Krishna. If you chant Hare Krishna every day, you follow what Prabhupada says, that realization will dawn. To somebody it will dawn today. For someone it will take 5 years in the association of devotees to dawn. Oh, somebody will think that everything is nice here and they'll get settled. And when they get settled, one day Krishna will unsettle them. So that time they will realize there is nothing to settle here also. There is no settlement at all in this material world, whether it is in the ashram, whether it is outside. Settlement is there only in Krishna consciousness. Settlement is only at the lotus feet of Krishna. Lotus feet of Guru and Krishna. That is settlement. Vrindaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.